Tony, obviously a hard-fought win, highly contested. What was the message of the team out there in that?
We talked about a couple areas, that welcome to the SEC. This is what it feels like, just the vibe in the air, the energy, the momentum swings. Didn't expect anything different, but that's a pretty good introduction for guys where it's their first year, either on our team or in the league. Also touched on some things we just didn't do as well as we can do over the course of the game. Some of them were we still made the play, or we got a break, or we executed, but there was a lot of things, and I'm sure knowing how Sully is, he's very competitive. I'm sure same thoughts. Like as highly contested of a game it highlights every little single play. So there was just a lot of things I think we can do better.
I guess how huge was that double play there in the sixth, and from your vantage point, just what did you see there?
Yeah, I mean, it was a tricky ball. I mean, Dean and Gavin were both converging on it. And the guy said it was a little more of Gavin's ball, so Dean started to go to the base. But again, it was just kind of one of those awkward choppers. The double play that we turned cleanly without necessarily any interference was also kind of a tricky one too. So all I saw was the slide. There's not much leeway there, and I haven't seen a replay or anything, but I just know there's not much leeway at all. So our bench felt like it was either high or out. They were all over it too to begin with. So fortunate break for us and unfortunate break for them. But Snead did what he needed to do, come in and get a ground ball in that situation. At the very least, have the game be tied on our home field. But we got a little added bonus out of that deal.
What do you think of Liam's outing?
It was good. I think both Liams, both being named Liam, certainly show you what it is like to see a SEC Friday starter. They gave you a glimpse into the future here, the big leagues for both of those guys. But I think also, and I do not mean to speak for Peterson, but those two guys were amped up, and the hitters were amped up to see them. So it was almost kind of like a knockout fighter getting in the ring and swinging like crazy, and maybe it gas out a little quicker than you normally would. I felt like that was the case at the very least for Doyle. But both lineups, there were moments in there where it looked like the at-bats were not very competitive, and maybe they'd say the same thing, just little. But that's what great stuff like that'll do. It's almost kind of like a mirage, because everyone was fighting their butt off out there, and because of that, both guys didn't last as long as they will once we get a little deeper into the season.
Coach, what made you hesitant to let Liam Doyle, who was one out away from potentially qualifying for a win, what made you hesitant to allow him to get that out and qualify?
I want to be a smart aleck and say I wasn't hesitant, but I get what you're saying. You don't know the right answer. I mean, because you're right. Why would you take a first rounder out of the game when he's kind of taking ownership of it? And Tanner Franklin had been hot and was ready either to face that guy. If he could have got out of that and got one more pitch, Tanner Franklin was definitely going to start the next inning. So actually, bad karma for me in the future, because there was a little bit of hesitancy. There's conversation. It's like he's ready. Liam really put it all on the line. There was many foul balls and a close call, so why not go with a fresh arm? And you don't really know if you made the right move or not until it's over with, and then who's to say Liam wouldn't have struck the guy out instead of a fly out? So just kind of went with what we thought. And again, later in the year, probably a longer leash on our guy or other pitchers for everybody at this point in the year.
Coach, you guys continue to do what it takes to get the job done. What do you think has been the key to this undefeated season?
Well, I think, for our guys to have to regroup and write a new story after hearing last year's stuff, they were very ambitious about it, and they've also executed it very well. You've coached long enough, you see some guys want to take a leadership role, and they kind of want to steer the team in their own direction, which is kind of what you want as a coach. You want them to take your advice, but you also want them to do some stuff. For them to execute it as well as they have starting back in August, it's been this nice steady climb and improvement from things. And instead of there being a big headache or a big mistake, there's just these little blips on the radar screen that need to be addressed, and they do it, and then they continue to improve. So I'd have to say the camaraderie and the family vibe that's in that locker room and in the dugout is number one.
Besides getting out of that situation,
it was too fast. You got to go slower, and then maybe I could have said buenas noches, or I could have thrown out some other stuff.
Let's do that again. Muchas gracias. Vamos, balls.
Buenas noches.
besides getting out of that situation in the sixth, what else did you like from Nate Snead's performance down the stretch?
His efficiency. 36, 37 pitches to get the work done that he did. And a lot of it was just from attacking the zone. And Liam was doing that, and then he was out of the zone. You know, and he's a strikeout pitcher by nature, so maybe he's hunting extra strikeouts. Maybe there's a little extra effort. Or again, maybe Florida, you know, is pretty dang good, or all the above. So I think his efficiency was the best thing. But also you can see with guys like Marcus Phillips and others, you know, trying to think who else, you just see a level of maturity increased from last year, where Nate kind of seems to keep on plugging along, even though when bad things happen, like the last guy rolls it over, he'd like to get out of the inning. We're late covering the bag, although it's a fast runner. Just got right back up there and got right back to work.
Said he's going to be available for Sunday if needed. Do you think he can be 37 pitches? You see him, Lloyd, and T. Frank being available?
I think, Dylan, and again, Dylan we've used a lot often lately, but it's been real small doses. So I think at some point, certainly, and Tanner Franklin probably wants to pitch more than anybody leaving the ballpark or still at the ballpark. Nate put a lot out there tonight, so I'm on the same page as you. I think tomorrow would be overly ambitious. He always comes to me. He's the only pitcher that's done that for 2 years. I mean, I have to hear from him whether I won't like it or not. So we'll have a conversation, but I think what makes sense is because he was efficient tonight, there's a chance there's some availability either tomorrow or more likely Sunday.
And what can you say about the
Couple
pitching
more guys.
really were today, especially from guys like Jay and Manny? It feels like they were really making moves.
Yeah, I mean, Jay threw his last throw during a pregame in and out when the outfielders throw it, I think halfway up the backstop. So it was very noticeable that he and Manny and even Levi were really charged up, as were all the guys. But you could kind of see a little extra from those freshmen, and that's a good thing as long as you control it. And I think the performance they had, it's hard to argue that they did not. And Levi, we went with a matchup situation there, but he's all over, or the swing looked good, and it looked like he was right on some pitches, and his takes were good. So there wasn't anything crazy there that made it seem like he was trying to do something extra special because it was SEC play. Knew he's sitting there fully capable of doing the same thing. So it's nice they've got the right mindset.
1-1 game for a while. Hunter Ensley finally broke it open. Talk about his veteran presence in your locker room.
Oh, that's hard to state. And it's not real obvious, too, because he's not a big eyewash guy. So I don't know that subtle's the right word, but he's our guy. You kind of want a guy on your team that it's like, that's ball basketball, or that is Coach Heupel football, or that's a Pat Summitt player, although I think they all had to. They didn't have much of a choice with her. And for us, we've kind of had a guy that's like, obviously he's a leader, but that's kind of the guy that fits everything that we're looking for, starting with the fact he grew up a Vol fan and was loyal, and he's, when he was younger, not as much now, he was ornery like some of the coaches, and he just kind of has all those traits, so it's really hard to put into words how great of a leader he is, and in that moment, I think he just got a lot more competitive. Not like he wasn't competing the other at-bats, but he got in there and got after it, and it was obviously a big-time blow.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
Tony.
you.
Thank you.